In Miami, a university football player and his female friend are found beaten to death. Investigators piece together random fragments from the crime scene, hoping to assemble evidence that will point to the killer. A man is found shot to death in his living room. With no obvious suspect, investigators turn to those closest to the victim and uncover a startling secret. When killers are driven by jealousy and desire, their desperation is evident in both the crime and their efforts to avoid detection. But forensic science can reveal even the slightest mistake. To solve crimes of passion. Sultry Miami Beach, with its hot nights and warm days, is the perfect setting for romance. But when passion is one-sided, jealousy and rage can lead to murder. On April 16, 1996, University of Miami student Darren Thomas was returning to the dormitory he shared with star linebacker Marlon Barnes. Thomas saw that the tires of his SUV were flat. He had just loaned the car to his roommate. Annoyed, he wanted to confront him. When he went into the dorm, Thomas was horrified to find Barnes lying on the floor, covered in blood. He ran next door to call police.
Miami-Dade County Police and Fire, where's your emergency? University of Miami? What building number? Room number?
A patrol officer and an ambulance were immediately dispatched to the apartment.
Attention all units, 332, University of Miami Athletic Dorm. So now if there's a subject on the scene at 1901, Kilo 3105.
Paramedics entered the scene. Marlon Barnes lay motionless on the floor. He'd been severely beaten about the head and face. He was pronounced dead at the scene. In the bedroom, the officer found another victim.
There's a female down, detectives.
A young woman, also badly beaten. Despite efforts to revive her, the victim's vital signs remained weak. Medics needed to get her to a hospital immediately. Crime scene investigators arrived and began to carefully search through the apartment, looking for clues. It was eerily undisturbed, suggesting that robbery was not a motive for the attack. Investigators found splinters of wood and shards of metal near the front door. But the wood pieces did not seem to match any of the furniture in the apartment. It may have come from the murder weapon. They also found fragments of teeth and bone. Testaments to the savagery of the attacks. Investigators interviewed Darren Thomas. He identified the female victim as 22-year-old Timwanika Lumpkins. Unfortunately, she too would not survive. Barnes had borrowed his SUV to attend a party at a Miami nightclub. He was not aware of anyone who would want to attack Barnes or Timwanika. At the Miami-Dade Police Department, Detective Thomas Romani worked the case. From his early assessment of the crime scene, Romani knew the victims were caught by surprise.
We were able to establish that the attack was with a heavy blunt object, and it took place right at the front door and proceeded into the house, and the majority of the trauma sustained to Barnes occurred when he was on the floor.
The victims were autopsied in Dade County. The examination revealed that both victims died as a result of blunt trauma. Barnes and Timwanika had been hit with such force that impressions of the murder weapon were left on their bodies. Medical examiner Sam Galino noted the distinctive nature of the victim's wounds.
Marlon's wounds were predominantly clustered around his face. Some of them were T-shaped or L-shaped, or had some unusual contours to them that made me think that they were made with some sort of very specific weapon. Timwanika had some pattern injuries, but they were subtle and they were different, indicating that either it was a different weapon, a different aspect of the same weapon, or possibly that the weapon had somehow altered, such as being broken between when she was assaulted and when Marlon was assaulted. But the bigger mystery in both of the cases was there a specific weapon that we could identify and match to these wounds?
The task of identifying the murder weapon would fall to the Miami-Dade Crime Lab. Thomas Quirk is a firearms and tool mark examiner at the lab. He studied evidence taken from the scene.
I could tell by looking at the wood that it looked like what's called a forend of a shotgun. That is the part of the shotgun that's usually held by the left hand when somebody's firing a shotgun.
The brutality and rage of the crime suggested the killer knew his victims. The next day, news of the campus tragedy stunned the city. Detectives would have to develop leads on a suspect. Investigators met with the victim's close friends and teammates. Barnes and Timwanika were popular and well-liked by their peers.
I saw him at the Club Salvations.
Football players told us that Barnes and Timwanika were seen together. Not all of the football players knew their exact relationship. Timwanika was a friend of Marlon Barnes since they were in high school.
Miami-Dade police also discovered that Timwanika had an ex-boyfriend, a rap musician named LeBrant Dennis.
LeBrant Dennis was a local of Miami. He had produced some rap videos, and in fact, that's how Timwanika and LeBrant Dennis met.
Police were eager to question Timwanika's ex-boyfriend, LeBrant Dennis. And they wouldn't have to wait long for answers. The day after the murder, Dennis and a friend showed up at the police station.
And her boyfriend. I need you to research through that, see what you can make out of it.
The ex-boyfriend of the girl was murdered, LeBron, he's outside, he wants to talk to you.
Oh, good. Very good. Okay. You come out there with me. Very good.
Detective Romani was intrigued by what he found out.
When I met with him, he didn't have that gangster, rough rap type persona, and I didn't pick up on it. LeBron was very calm. He was inquisitive as to what occurred. told me that he didn't have any information about the case. Had you ever had any problems in your relationship with Tanganyika, domestic problems? He gave me some background information about his relationship with Tim Wanika, why they broke up. He, in fact, told me that he did not personally know Marlon Barnes. Had you and Tim Wanika
Dennis and Tim Wanika dated for 5 years.
Up until a week ago, we moved out of our
There had been some breakups between them through their 5-year relationship as well.
But according to Dennis, things were getting better between them.
Out of your cousin's house?
Yeah.
They were in the process of reconciling.
We're in the same place, and I've seen pictures of it and stuff like
He said he was asleep at his sister's house the night of the murders. Investigators asked to take photographs of his body. Police wanted to see if Dennis had any marks or scratches, signs of a physical altercation.
Tom's, yes. Thank you. Can you take off your shirt, please?
But no visible scratches or bruises were found on his body. Dennis also agreed to be fingerprinted. He was acting like a man with nothing to hide. Even though there was nothing glaring, Detective Romani wasn't convinced.
When I was told that LeBron Dennis responded to the Homicide Bureau to speak to me, I wasn't really surprised, but I was apprehensive. Maybe that he was coming forward to be too helpful. It became clear that he was trying to be very helpful.
Miami-Dade investigators went to Dennis's home. He continued to cooperate. They conducted a thorough search.
We're going to ask that you wait by the door here, okay? We're going to just look in your room. Okay.
Looking for anything that might be related to the crime. They found nothing out of the ordinary. Detectives asked Dennis for the clothes he had worn the previous night. The clothes would be examined for traces of blood or hair and fiber evidence, but nothing would be found. They also searched and photographed Dennis's car. But again found nothing suspicious. Despite the lack of evidence, police could not eliminate him as a suspect. Detectives had to expand their search if they were to solve the double murders, and they would need hard evidence to bring the killer to justice. Detectives were struggling to solve the brutal murders of University of Miami football player Marlon Barnes and his friend Tim Wanika Lumpkins. Police considered Tim Wanika's ex-boyfriend, LeBron Dennis, a potential suspect, but there was no evidence to link him to the crime. Investigators went to the area outside the nightclub where the victims were last seen. At a 24-hour gas station, a clerk had seen a suspicious man wearing a hooded sweatshirt, pacing back and forth, watching the club across the street. All of this took place at the same time Barnes and Tim Wanika were inside the club partying. The clerk was concerned and called police. By the time they arrived, the man had gotten in a car and left. The clerk said she did not see his face. She gave a precise description of his car, recalling every detail, including the make and model, its tinted windows, and a missing rear license plate. Investigators showed the woman photos of LeBron Dennis's car. She didn't recognize it and was certain about what she had seen. Police needed to locate the car and its driver. They looked further into the background of Timwanika, trying to find a lead to someone who may have wanted to harm her. They interviewed a number of her friends.
It wasn't a mutual thing at all. She wanted.
Detective Thomas Romani discovered that Timwanika's relationship with LeBrant Dennis had been fraught with violence and stalking, a far cry from the mutual breakup that Dennis had described.
It was a very controlling relationship.
And as we spoke to more friends and acquaintances, we learned that Timwanika and LeBrant Dennis had an argument early in the week, and she had left him. There had been some violent breakups and domestic violence between them.
Dennis said he was asleep at his sister's home when the murders occurred. Now, detectives weren't convinced. They obtained Dennis's cell phone records. On the morning before the murders, he'd made a call to a man named Stuart Dillard. Investigators were anxious to speak with him.
Hello, we're detectives with the Miami-Dade Police Department. We'd appreciate your cooperation.
They met with Stuart. He was extremely nervous. He, of course, saw the murder on the news, and he was able to put it together that he lent this sawed-off shotgun to LeBrant Dennis, and he suspected that the sawed-off shotgun was possibly used in some criminal act.
Stuart Dillard said that on April 14th, one day after the murders, Dennis called him again and told him where to retrieve his shotgun and duffel bag. Inside, Stuart found a large folding knife that was not his, and several articles of clothing. When he looked at his shotgun, Stuart noticed that the wooden forend was missing.
He became very afraid of what had happened. He put some things together in his mind, and he thought that he would be culpable or somehow involved.
Stuart told investigators he disposed of the clothing in a dumpster and had thrown the knife and shotgun down a storm drain. All he kept was the duffel bag. Investigators took possession of it, hoping they could tie it directly to LeBrant Dennis.
When we first started speaking to Stuart, we were apprehensive about what he was telling us because he did admit that he lent the potential murder weapon to LeBrant Dennis. So we did investigate thoroughly what he had to tell us, and we believe what he was telling us was the truth, that he unknowingly lent this firearm to LeBrant Dennis.
Dad, it's a knife.
Miami-Dade police went to the storm drain and found the discarded weapons, exactly where Stuart said they would be.
Some water.
Anything else you see down there?
They retrieved the knife and the shotgun.
And that's what we're looking for.
I'm gonna go back down and see if there's anything else.
The weapons were bagged for analysis. Armed with this new evidence, the investigation of LeBrant Dennis intensified. Police interviewed his known acquaintances. Jamie Meyer was a former girlfriend.
Good, how you doing? Is this your car?
She admitted that she often loaned her car to Dennis.
Traffic violations. Do you mind if I take a few photos?
Police saw that her car resembled the suspicious vehicle seen on the night of the murders. An officer photographed the car. The vehicle had no rear license plate, like the vehicle described by the clerk at the gas station. Investigators re-interviewed the gas station clerk.
We showed the photographs of her car to the clerk, and she positively identified that as being the same car she saw on that evening.
Police had established another connection between LeBrant Dennis and the car.
No doubt about it.
But it was highly circumstantial. To link him to the murders, they turned to the forensic evidence. They were confident that the bag had been used to carry the murder weapons. The duffel bag turned over by Dennis's friend Stewart was examined by criminalist Toby Wolson. Wolson found what appeared to be droplets of dried blood inside the bag.
I was asked to do the DNA interpretation of samples taken from a duffel bag, and we did analysis of those and compared those samples to the standards from the victim and the subject.
Wolson found a match between the blood in the duffel bag and the blood of one of the victims.
The DNA profiles obtained from the samples from the bag match the DNA profiles obtained from Marlon Barnes' bloodstain standard, which means that those samples came from Marlon Barnes.
Piece by piece, Miami authorities were building their case against LeBrant Dennis. Criminalists had evidence connecting Dennis's gym bag to one of the victims, but it would take more than a bloodstain to charge LeBrant Dennis with murder. The murders of University of Miami student Marlon Barnes and his childhood friend Tim Wanika Lumpkins were close to being solved. A wealth of evidence, including a knife and a shotgun, had been discovered. But so far, nothing tied the gruesome double murder directly to ex-boyfriend LeBrant Dennis. Miami-Dade criminalist Thomas Quirk examined the flat tire from the car Barnes had driven the night before he was killed.
I noted that the tire had a very curious V-shaped mark. Once I received the knife and examined the knife, I realized that the tip of the knife was bent and it was very dull. If this was a knife that made the marks, my job would be now to stab the tire with that knife and see if I could reproduce those V-shaped marks.
Quirk analyzed the test cuts against the punctures from the night of the crime. He found the two sets of punctures to be wholly consistent, concluding that Dennis's knife was used to slash the victim's tires. Quirk also examined the shotgun found in the storm drain. He compared wood splinters collected at the crime scene to the now bare forend of the shotgun.
It's no different than building an airplane or building a model car. You take the pieces, you look at them, you notice the fracture patterns to them, the manufacturer's markings, and you simply place them together and make a little mold out of it. And we found that once we did that, it fit perfectly into the frame of the shotgun. Chances are that this shotgun was used to bludgeon the two victims to death.
In addition to the wood splinters, they also collected metal fragments at the crime scene. Criminalist George Borghi examined the fragments.
At the time that the pieces of metal were found, they were unknown in terms of what the origin was. When the shotgun was recovered and they put all the pieces together, it was obvious from my perspective that it was a broken trigger guard, and the two pieces of metal looked like they could be fragments of metal from the trigger guard themselves.
But to prove an exact match between the metal fragments and the trigger guard would require more than the appearance of a close fit.
The molecular structure and the atomic structure of the metal particles are what give it the unique fracture pattern. Not only are the edges compared to show that the edges line up perfectly, in this situation it's a three-dimensional fracture. So besides the edges comparing favorably, the interior fractures compared favorably, meaning that every contoured edge of one piece fit within the contours of the adjoining piece and of the shotgun. So therefore, a combination of all those characteristics exclude the possibility that those trigger guard pieces came from any other weapon besides that one.
With this evidence, investigators now had probable cause. They charged LeBrant Dennis with the murders of Tim Wanika Lumpkins and Marlon Barnes. But to prove his guilt, police needed direct physical evidence. They once again turned to medical examiner Dr. Sam Galino. Galino had previously noted peculiar L and T-shaped wounds sustained by the victims. Galino compared the evidence to diagrams of the victims' injuries.
And we were able to compare different aspects of the shotgun to the wounds, and indeed found out that different aspects of this shotgun matched to a great degree of certainty the wounds that were on both of the bodies. I was able to conclude that this shotgun had been used to beat both Marlon Barnes and Tim Wanika Lumpkins.
LeBrant Dennis continued to profess his innocence, despite the strong case against him. But Miami-Dade investigators had amassed a wealth of evidence supporting his guilt, and it had all started with a case of envy.
From the evidence that we were able to establish in this investigation, LeBrant Dennis became extremely upset when he had found out that Tim Wanika Lumpkins went to meet Marlon Barnes at this event that hosted many celebrity football players from the NFL and college.
Investigators were convinced that LeBrant Dennis followed the victims to Marlon Barnes' apartment. When Barnes opened the door, Dennis struck him across the face. When Dennis finished attacking Barnes, he went after Tim Wanika. LeBrant Dennis was tried and convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison. LeBrant Dennis's violent relationship with Tim Wanika Lumpkins led police to closely investigate him and ultimately solve the crime. But in some cases, there is no obvious suspect. Fresno, California is a quiet, peaceful city, known for its proximity to 3 national parks. On Friday, February 18, 2000, Nancy and Ralph Gower were making plans for the upcoming weekend.
Yeah, let's do lunch, sure.
Nancy was going to drive to their vacation home that evening.
So you're going to be real busy.
Ralph, who worked as an auto salesman, had to be at the dealership the following morning, but planned to drive up Saturday afternoon. The Gowers had been married for 12 years.
I'll be nice, Will.
I can't wait.
Thanks. Be nice.
Let's go.
That night, Nancy drove alone to their vacation house. The next morning, Ralph failed to show up for work. His concerned employer went to his house to check on him. But when she peered through the window, she saw him lying on the floor. Panicked, she tried to get Ralph's attention, but he wasn't moving. She called 911. Fresno police detectives Darrell Green and Al Murrieta responded. An emergency response team had already forced entry into the residence and pronounced the victim dead at the scene.
Take that side off. There it is.
2 bullet wounds marked the right side of his chest, but there were no shell casings present. The area immediately around the body seemed unusually clean, but detectives noted a small amount of blood under the sofa, perhaps overlooked by the killer.
Unless he was laying here originally.
Notice some of that dust here. Looks like something's been either moved or, well, there's some broken stuff underneath the table.
Something's not right here. The couch has been moved.
It appeared the furniture had been moved.
What initially stood out to the investigators is that we could tell that the couch had been moved and that the scene was extremely clean, indicating that someone had cleaned up the crime scene and moved furniture after the victim had been shot.
Crime scene investigators took photographs and meticulously dusted surfaces for fingerprints. Broken items on the coffee table suggested a struggle had taken place. In the entryway, investigators found a gym bag. Inside the bag was a loaded revolver.
And book it. Provide us with a serial number on your property sheet so we can check it so we can get downtown. Maybe see if we can answer. Okay. Tell them what they can check. Okay.
Detectives searched the house for signs of a break-in. There were none. The automatic garage door mechanism had been shut off.
It's disengaged from the lock there.
The door could now be opened by hand.
Remove. Outside the bottom, toggle perimeter. Find anything over here? No, I just checked that first drawer. I know what's in that bag. I haven't checked it. Kind of heavy.
Oh, goodness.
You want to turn these over to Mickey?
The detectives found more weapons in the garage. The assortment of firearms, along with the revolver found in the house, would be sent to a lab for ballistics tests.
Select this for now.
Detective Murrieta needed to contact the victim's wife.
I'm formulating questions in my mind. First of all, establishing where was she at the time that we believe the murder actually took place, who could alibi for her, and one other striking thing that I needed to clear up, who else had keys to that residence?
While the Fresno police pursued the investigation, Ralph Gower's body was autopsied. The pathologist would make further curious findings. Cause of death was attributed to the 2 bullet wounds to the chest. But pathologist Vinu Gopal noted something more.
At the autopsy, I found evidence of blunt trauma and gunshot wounds to the chest and injuries to the wrist. These injuries were consistent with handcuff injuries.
It appeared that Ralph Gower had been shackled to something before he was shot.
So we have handcuff injuries and somebody's laying on his back. Next thing you always think of, is it some sort of an execution style killing?
Police reached Nancy Gower and informed her of her husband's death.
Detective Maria from earlier.
She was shaken by the news and cooperated with the investigation.
A few things just clarify on time. Can you tell me where you were Friday night?
The last time she saw her husband was the previous evening, just before she left for the vacation home.
And he went back to work, and I headed up to the cabin.
She expected Ralph to join her after he finished work, but he never showed up.
Oh, I don't know. I guess it was around
Detective
Friday
Green
lunch.
got a sense of Nancy and Ralph's marriage.
Remember about what time?
What we found was they were the all-American couple, and from talking to people who worked with both Nancy and Ralph, they were well-liked, and they seemed to be madly in love with each other.
Chance on Nancy, we're going to be needing to talk again, and we'll update you as we get the information. We're still in the early process of the investigation. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Everything that could potentially be a reason for the homicide was discredited, including any financial problems, any problems at work, anything that she thought could have been related, we were able to discredit.
The guns found at the crime scene were sent to the Fresno crime lab for testing. Criminalist Iqbal Sikhan tested bullets fired from the gun and compared them against the slugs retrieved from the victim. There were no matches, but characteristics of the slugs led Sikhan to the first clue of the killer's identity. He or she had used a .40 caliber firearm. But as the days passed, investigators had yet to develop a motive or suspect.
Remember the hand marks we had on here? Yeah. We were going to take them down and have them fingerprint.
They felt they had only one place to turn.
Get a hold of all the guys that are involved in this and let's meet.
We felt our only option was to bring Nancy in and go deeper into their personal life, including giving her a polygraph to verify some of her earlier statements.
Nancy Gower had cooperated through the entire investigation of her husband's murder.
No motive for the murder. And we need to eliminate you as a suspect, and once we do that...
But to investigators, it seemed as if she had something to hide. In Fresno, California, police were investigating the murder of luxury auto salesman Ralph Gower. With no leads in the case, they asked Gower's wife, Nancy, to take a polygraph exam. She agreed, but just as the test was to begin, she wouldn't continue.
We've got a little bit of a problem. She doesn't want to take the test until she talks to both of you.
She asked to speak with the investigators.
Hi.
I understand you wanted to talk to us for a minute.
Yeah, I really think I should tell you something. Well, we met
She
at
made a
wedding about
stunning
6
admission
months
to
ago.
Detective Green.
So we started having this.
The bombshell in this case was that Nancy indicated that she was having an affair with one of our police officers. Not only was he a police officer, but prior to coming onto the department, he had been a full-time minister and in fact was a chaplain with the Fresno Police Department, one of our own.
The officer's name was Paul Hurth. Nancy told the detectives that she and Hurth had been involved for several months, but she said she recently ended the affair. Hurth couldn't accept the breakup and continued calling her.
You know, he's also a Baptist minister, so I didn't want anybody
Investigators now faced the possibility of a killer in their ranks.
When Ralph was at work, sometimes we do that.
After Nancy's admission, she took the polygraph and passed.
You had a question about talking about...
An internal committee was formed to investigate.
We knew we had to hurry on this case. If a police officer was the suspect and we were allowing an officer to continue to work and he was a murder suspect, speed was of the utmost.
Police checked the staff sign-in sheet for the night of Ralph's murder.
Is there any indication they were supposed to work that night?
No, should have been his regular day off.
All right. Is that on
According to the sheet, Officer Hurth and his partner were on duty during the time in
there?
question.
Know later what's going on in this. Thanks.
When investigators spoke with Hurth's partner, he said that he had not worked that night and had not initialed the sign-out sheet.
With you. Do you work with Paul Hurth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Were you
It appeared Officer Hurth was attempting a cover-up. Police called him in for questioning.
Hey, Paul. Sergeant Green with Homicide. This is Detective Marietta. I want to talk to you about the death of Ralph Gower. Occurred about a week ago.
Actually, I was expecting a call from you.
Really?
Hey, look, I didn't do
Hirth was forthcoming about the affair, but denied committing any crime.
I may have broke some police rules, but again, I didn't murder anybody.
Okay, well, that's kind of what we thought. We were wondering if maybe you couldn't fill us in a little bit. Were you working February 18th?
Yes.
Oh, you were?
Yes. Yeah, I was on patrol at a college campus.
He stated that he had been on patrol on the 18th.
And I broke up the fight.
You were,
They asked
you
about
were
his
with,
partner.
A partner that night?
It was Officer Andre Benson.
So he was working?
No, I signed him in, but he wasn't there.
Oh, he didn't show up? Or?
I signed him in, but he didn't show up.
Okay. Could we look in your locker?
When they asked Hirth if they could search his house and his work locker, he agreed.
Take a look at your gun?
That'd be okay.
Okay, good. Let's go down to, let's go out this way and take a look at, okay, could you step right back over? Okay.
They took his police-issued equipment along with his uniform. Inside the officer's home, investigators located his service weapon. It was a .40 caliber Beretta, the same caliber gun used in the killing of Ralph Gower. Criminalists Iqbal Sikhan and Gary Kortner received Hirth's weapon. The gun was fired into a sealed water tank. Fired slugs from Hirth's pistol would be compared to the slugs that killed Ralph Gower. Police waited anxiously for results to see if the gun used to uphold the law would be the same weapon used to break it. Fresno police were investigating fellow officer Paul Hirth. They believed he had murdered the husband of his former lover, Nancy Gower. Criminalist Iqbal Sikhan performed a side-by-side comparison of slugs fired from Officer Hirth's handgun and the bullets that killed Ralph Gower. Sikhan looked at several class characteristics, including the caliber, the direction of the twist, and the lands and grooves of the slugs. The results pointed directly at the suspect.
The bullets that killed the victim came out of Paul Hirth's duty pistol.
Paul Hirth was arrested for the murder of Ralph Gower. When he was confronted with the evidence, he quickly changed his story.
Paul, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can't.
Officer Hirth now claimed he went to the Gower house with the sole intention of apologizing for his indiscretions with Ralph's wife.
I know you have relations with your wife. With my wife? What the hell's the matter with you?
When Hirth told him about the affair, he became enraged and attacked the officer. He said during the struggle, Ralph got control of his baton. He said he went into police mode and drew his gun. After shooting Ralph twice, he panicked and proceeded to clean up the room. Finally, he let himself out through the garage and returned to work. Hirth's claim of shooting Ralph Gower in self-defense rang hollow with investigators.
Slightly higher as it exits.
To test the officer's story, they re-examined the crime scene reports.
Spots about the size of a $50, 50-cent piece.
About a dime, yeah.
10 cents? Okay.
Yeah.
They believed the angle of the bullet wounds to Gower's chest proved he'd been shot from above at a distance of 2 feet while lying defenseless on the floor. Investigators returned to the Gower house.
6 feet 3. Get over here. It was on the ground at that time.
Right. Okay.
Yes. And let's see if there is any other
chance of-
evidence of any damage.
They
to the
scoured the
walls.
crime scene for any indication of bullet damage to the walls. If the victim had been standing, as Hurth claimed, the bullets would have passed through his body and there would be damage to the walls. But there was none.
Possible scenario is that the victim was
All the crime scene evidence supported the case that Officer Hurth was standing over the victim when he fired.
or you could be here.
Despite convincing evidence, prosecutors know juries are often reluctant to convict officers of the law. Fresno authorities turned to the FBI. Police enlisted the help of forensic profiler and criminalist Mark Safaric. As a special agent with the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, Safaric studies crime scene photos and other evidence from individual cases. From the case materials, he developed a profile of the dynamics that took place between the victim and the assailant. His conclusions in the Gower case contradicted Paul Hurth's claims of self-defense.
I think both behaviorally and forensically, it's clear that Gower was not in a position to present a threat to Hurth. There's no indication his hands were in front of his face or attempting to ward off the potential of being shot. And the fact that the gunshot wounds are so close together, almost directly over the heart area, tells me that he was likely unconscious at the time he was shot.
Based on the evidence, police believe that Paul Hurth went to Ralph Gower's house with no other intention but to kill him. Nancy Gower had ended the affair, and he needed to dispose of his rival. Investigators believe Hurth struck Gower with his baton, then proceeded to handcuff him to a table leg before shooting him twice in the chest. Investigators concluded that Paul Hurth acted alone, and Nancy had no knowledge of his intentions. Paul Hurth was convicted of aggravated manslaughter for the death of Ralph Gower. He was sentenced to 20 years. Killers commit their crimes for many reasons. But when they are driven by dark emotion, they unwittingly leave behind a history of clues. Forensic science exploits these clues to uncover hard evidence and solve crimes of passion. Georgia investigators are relieved to find no one at home during a house fire. But as forensic examiners know, first impressions can be deceiving. In the dense woods of northern Tennessee, a hunter discovers the abandoned car of a missing woman. Detectives quickly realize the scene poses more questions than it answers. Although investigators routinely rely on first-hand accounts and physical evidence to piece together clues, there are times no such clues are apparent. It is these times when science acts as eyes, leading law enforcement to answers. When forensic science takes the place of an absent witness. In this episode, some of the names have been changed. The Savannah River is at once both tranquil and mighty. Its waters run fast and deep. Beneath its surface lies a murky world full of dark secrets. On August 15, 1998, the Richmond Augusta County Fire Department in Augusta, Georgia, responded to an urgent 911 call. A house on Elizabeth Drive was on fire. Investigators arrived as dense smoke consumed the house. They scrambled to bring the fire under control. As firefighters made their way through the smoke, they detected the faint smell of gasoline. They hurried to find anyone who may be trapped inside. There were indications the fire started in the foyer. Although the bedroom was filled with smoke, there was little damage from the fire. Firefighters were relieved to find no one was home. It was now up to arson investigators to determine the cause of the fire. Neighbors told police a man named Al Hamilton owned and lived in the house. They hadn't seen him since yesterday, and his car was gone.
Okay, does anyone else live here with him?
I don't think anybody lives.
The Richmond County Sheriff's Department began a routine investigation. To investigator Dwayne Piper, there were many unanswered questions.
My initial impressions of the scene was that there was foul play involved. The fires did not seem to start from the actual walls themselves. They seemed to originate just out from the wall. And in my mind, that suggested that it wasn't an electrical fire.
Later that afternoon, a woman named Donna Edwards arrived at the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, thank you.
She said she was Al Hamilton's girlfriend and was concerned when he missed their date. She drove by his house and panicked.
His house was burning, and they said I should come.
Well, we've been to the house, and I can assure you I was not in the house.
Donna was relieved to hear that no one was injured, but she was still worried.
No. I haven't even talked to him since last night. The last I saw of him, maybe before I
It wasn't like him to just take off without a word.
He tells me everything.
Hamilton was very close to his family. He took care of his elderly mother and disabled sister who lived in town. Donna called them, and they hadn't heard from him either. Recently divorced and living in her mother's house, Donna told Piper she and Hamilton were very happy.
Come here, baby. Look at this one. Right here in this Peters community.
They were looking to buy land and build a house together.
Resort center.
Donna had plans with Hamilton to look at property that morning, but he never showed up.
Peters community. Kind of the same thing.
Where does he work?
Donna told Detective Piper that Hamilton worked as a manager at a local bar.
Normally he calls.
She worried about his long hours and said he didn't get off work until after 3 a.m. She was sure something happened to him.
I'll give you a call and go talk to his
Although he agreed to look into it, Investigator Piper explained to Donna there was little he could do. Hamilton was a grown man and could disappear if he wanted. After 2 days, there was still no word from Al Hamilton. Piper and his partner, investigator Joanne Nutter, were eager to read the arson report.
And according to the arson investigator, the fire was not accidental.
The report indicated there were 2 sources of origin. The fires were set using an accelerant in both the entryway and the bedroom. Although they suspected the accelerant was gasoline, the results were inconclusive. Al Hamilton was still missing, and the report convinced investigators something terrible had happened. They needed to find him.
1012, 1065, missing vehicle. 1012, 1065, missing vehicle. Be on the lookout for
An APB went out to field officers to be on the lookout for Hamilton and his car. Piper suspected there were more answers at the crime scene.
Hello, this is Investigator Piper with the Sheriff's Office, Richmond County.
He called the Georgia Public Safety Office for assistance. Investigator Piper and forensic expert Jerry Findley of the GPS met at Hamilton's house.
Jerry.
Findley noticed a strange dent on the footboard of the bed.
Yeah, it's like an impact of some kind, some object there, some rounded. It was consistent in size and shape with a baseball bat.
Findley also saw what appeared to be blood on the footboard. The pattern resembled a swipe stain.
A swipe stain is when a bloody object comes in contact with a non-bloody surface, and you can tell movement and direction which way the swipe is actually going.
The stain traveled from left to right as he faced the foot of the bed. And something else caught his attention.
We found little pieces of hair in the swipe, which would be consistent with a head injury and a bleeding head coming in contact with the footboard. Down in this area here. The location of the stains revealed to me that someone was bludgeoned very severely at the foot of the bed. Yeah, that looks good. Looks good.
As they inspected the room for more clues, they found more blood stains.
At the side of the room on the wall, I observed stains that were consistent with cast-off stains. And in looking at those, I believed that there had to be more there. Do this very carefully because we don't know how stable they are.
Findley needed to get a closer look.
Up here at the top. I got a rag and started wiping and found the remainder of the cast-off stains were under the soot.
Findley discovered that the soot had preserved the blood. This indicated the fire was set after the beating.
We know we got one line.
Someone had tried to cover up a violent act. To reconstruct the events, Findley ran strings backwards, from the blood spatter on the walls to the area of origin of the blood.
Where you want to put the string, okay? Okay.
A laser beam helped him determine the exact angles and trajectories of the spatter.
And that's where you need to go here. I completed my analysis by first determining the directionality of the impact stains. Go ahead and hook it right there. I calculated the angles at which they actually struck the wall and drew the strings back to where the strings crossed. That is the point of origin of the blood, which would have to be the head of the victim. Okay, Dwayne, one thing I can tell you right now. The person was either on his knees or sitting down at the time he was being bludgeoned. Right in this area right here. This is the area of impact for these stains. Right in this area.
The dent on the footboard suggested the victim was struck with a blunt force object. Using a baseball bat in the lab, Findley replicated the cast-off spatter found on the bedroom walls.
A cast-off stain is as the item is brought upward from that impact. It has a certain amount of blood on the instrument itself, and that blood is actually being cast off. As it comes across, it's breaking away from that instrument, whether it be a hand, a baseball bat, or a brick or whatever. It's going to break away and be cast upward and out, usually across the ceiling, if you're hitting straight on like so.
Investigators knew something violent had happened in Al Hamilton's house. But now the question was Hamilton the perpetrator or the victim? The blood found at the crime scene was sent to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab. Al Hamilton recently had blood work, and his doctor supplied a sample to compare with the blood found on the footboard. They matched. Al Hamilton was the victim. Chief Medical Examiner Chris Sperry analyzed the photographs of the scene. The arc of the blood and the amount of cast-off trajectories told a violent story.
Based upon the evidence that was illustrated in the photographs, this was a crime that incorporated a great deal of aggression, of anger, or perhaps even hatred. All of the blows were directed at the head and probably the face as well, and there were repeated blows. And basically what it indicated was this man was beaten about the head and the face multiple times until he was dead.
Police were now working a homicide. Al Hamilton had not survived the vicious attack. Investigator Piper retraced his last steps.
Hi, I'm Investigator Piper with the Sheriff's Office, Richmond County.
His first stop, the bar where Hamilton worked as a manager.
Last weekend.
His boss told investigators he was a model employee.
No problems with any customers, other employees? No, he's busy.
He also said nothing out of the ordinary had happened at the bar that night, and Hamilton had locked up around 3 a.m. Piper met again with Donna Edwards.
I'm okay.
You drive okay?
Yeah, I've been better.
I do need to ask you something.
He asked her if she could think of anyone who would want to harm Hamilton. She did recall something that had happened a few months earlier. She and Hamilton had been returning from dinner one night when a large truck came out of nowhere and headed straight for him. He jumped out of the way, but was almost run down. The truck looked like the one her ex-husband, Rodney Richardson, used at work. She said Richardson couldn't come to grips with the divorce and was jealous of her relationship with Hamilton. Donna also told Piper Richardson was abusive throughout their marriage, and she was afraid of him.
No.
Recently, he'd even stopped by her mom's house and confronted her about her relationship with Hamilton. But still, Donna didn't believe Richardson was capable of murder. Besides, she said, she had received a phone call from Rodney at 1 a.m. at her mom's house on the night of the murder. He told her he was at a phone booth on the other side of town. To investigator Piper, Rodney Richardson had motive to murder Al Hamilton. But motive doesn't always make a killer. And without a body, it would be difficult to prove a murder took place at all. Both Al Hamilton and his car vanished. A body can be disposed of anywhere. But a car is almost impossible to hide. And the only place large enough to conceal a car was the mighty Savannah River. In Augusta, Georgia, investigators uncovered the brutal slaying of Al Hamilton.
Right now is that when this impact took place,
His killer set fire to his house, attempting to cover up the crime.
the area of impact, the area of origin of these bloodstains.
Donna Edwards, Hamilton's girlfriend, was concerned her ex-husband, Rodney Richardson, was involved. But there was no evidence against him.
No, I said no. I mean, Al was a good guy. No, I don't know of anyone.
Hamilton's body and his car were still nowhere to be found. Police believed the answer lay at the bottom of the Savannah River. Despite a thorough search, they found nothing. Investigator Dwayne Piper was frustrated by the case.
Well, there were many challenges that we faced in the investigation. For starters, there was no bodies, so a lot of the evidence had been consumed in the fire or destroyed in the extinguishing of the fire. There were no eyewitnesses to the investigation, so there was no one with whom we could speak that could tell us what happened.
Well, it was real early.
Piper learned Richardson dropped by Donna's mother's house on the morning of the fire,
He came in and, well, it was
but Donna was
real
not
early
home.
This morning. He woke me up. I was sound asleep on the couch when he came in.
Donna's mother recalled Richardson carrying 2 cloth bags. He asked if he could leave some things in Donna's bedroom. When he came out, he wasn't wearing his shoes, and he no longer had the bags.
Well, they were there. Here they are.
Great.
She gave the items to the police.
Office, and I'll be back in touch with you, okay?
Piper sent the shoes to the forensic lab for analysis. Piper contacted Donna and asked her why she never mentioned the bags. She said she was afraid to say anything. She recognized the bags as belonging to Hamilton and didn't want to believe that Richardson was somehow involved. Investigator Piper was certain Rodney Richardson had killed Al Hamilton. He now hoped the tennis shoes could place him at the scene. At the lab, the technician examined the shoes for any debris or ash in the treads. And he also ran tests for the presence of gasoline. The treads were clean. Traces of gas were found on the shoes. But traces of gas weren't enough. Richardson worked in construction and came into contact with it daily. Investigators needed more.
At least a few different
Piper, the phone records you submitted?
Yes.
Here they are.
Piper remembered Donna said she received a 1 a.m. call from Richardson on the morning of the fire, saying he was calling from a payphone. Piper wasn't so sure. On a hunch, he secured Al Hamilton's phone records. On the night in question, a call was made from Hamilton's house to Donna's house at 1 a.m. Al Hamilton couldn't have made the call. He worked until 3 a.m. Though circumstantial, the call suggested that Rodney Richardson was in Hamilton's house on the night of the murder.
A moderate level so it doesn't drown out the conversation from across the room. Okay. Okay, and once
Police needed direct evidence to make an arrest, and they asked Donna Edwards for help.
Okay. And to activate it, all you do
She agreed and tried to get a confession on tape.
and it will lock on. This reel is going to run for approximately 3 hours so you don't have to force the conversation.
Donna recorded her conversations with Rodney over a period of several evenings. She told him she wanted to know what happened to Hamilton so she could get on with her life.
What do you want me to give you? What do you want me to tell you?
I want you to just tell me the truth. Tell me what happened. Just tell me what happened. Just tell me.
Richardson finally admitted to the crime.
All right. I killed Al.
He said he hadn't meant to kill Hamilton. He only wanted to scare him.
It was an accident. It's not like I...
But then he lost control.
I mean...
The next thing he knew, Hamilton was dead.
Your husband, and you treat me like this?
Richardson said he disposed of the body and was sure the police would never find it. And without a body, he bragged, they could never prosecute him. If they tried, he said he would not go down without a fight.
What do you want me to give you? What do you want me to tell you?
I want you to just...
The confession was enough to get an arrest warrant.
All right. I killed Al. How about that? I didn't mean it to happen, but it did.
Given Richardson's history of violence, investigators plotted with Donna to take him by surprise. While Donna and Richardson were out, the police hid inside her house.
What is this?
Their plan worked. Richardson was arrested without incident. Based on the evidence, investigators believe Rodney Richardson broke into Al Hamilton's home to ambush him. But he was overcome by rage, and after repeated blows, Hamilton was dead. Richardson stashed the body in Hamilton's car and hid the car where no one would find it. Attempting to cover his crime, he set the house on fire. Neither Al Hamilton's body nor his car were ever found. Rodney Richardson was convicted of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison.
The importance of forensic science in this case was absolutely crucial. Without the blood pattern work, the DNA work, and the arson investigation, this case would have never gone to court. There would have never been an arrest. It was through these three methods of investigation that we were able to make the arrest without a body, and to this day we still haven't gotten a body.
Time the impact took place.
Rodney Richardson mistakenly believed without a body, investigators wouldn't be able to make their case against him. He was wrong. In rural Tennessee, authorities must piece together blood-stained clues to find a missing woman, dead or alive. Stewart County, Tennessee is a small rural community where even the police know everyone by name. They average just one violent crime a year. On a Monday night in late 1990, a hunter spotted a car partially hidden by trees. It appeared to have run off the road. As he approached the car, he noticed no one inside. The hunter wrote down the license plate number and contacted police.
911.
The Stewart County Sheriff's Office received the call.
Thank you. Stewart County to 903. There's been a report of an abandoned vehicle.
The dispatcher sent a patrol unit to investigate. She ran the license plate number and discovered the car was registered to June Atkins. Earlier that day, a woman was reported missing. Now, police feared June Atkins was wandering the woods, alone and injured. In Tennessee, Stewart County Police were dispatched to an abandoned car that had run off the road. The car was registered to a missing woman named June Atkins. Police found the car wedged against a tree. The passenger side door was opened, and it looked as if someone had gotten out. Inside the car, police found little. They searched the area, wondering if June had crawled out and lay injured somewhere nearby. They found nothing. Sheriff David Hicks questioned June's husband about his missing wife. He said June went to visit her mother in a nearby town, but never arrived. Atkins was concerned. If she didn't go to her mother's house, he didn't know where she was.
We don't start taking missing persons investigations this serious, this quick.
Sheriff Hicks told Atkins he found her car and believed she had been in some kind of accident. June's car was impounded. Investigators hoped it would yield some clues as to her whereabouts. Forensic examiners looked for fingerprints and anything else that would explain what happened to June. But the only thing they found were the missing woman's fingerprints. Police needed to act quickly. If June Atkins was injured and wandering in the woods, she would need medical attention. A team of local and state law enforcement personnel, along with dozens of community volunteers, searched the woods where June's car was discovered.
We had a tremendous amount of help from surrounding counties. A lot of people that just called in volunteering, wanting to help when they heard that June Atkins was missing.
We're going to divide up in two groups. Half of you's going to go on the right side, half of you's going to go on the left side. Stay within 15, 20 foot of one another so you've got good sight of everybody as we go through the woods. Okay, let's go.
The search party fanned out in different directions. Officers on horseback tackled the off-road terrain. The Tennessee Highway Patrol provided helicopter surveillance and a contact point from above. The search lasted for several hours. Police received a call over the radio. Something had been found near the Paris Landing Bridge. Rick Stout of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation was part of the search team.
Hey, David.
He brought what was discovered to Sheriff Hicks.
Got here on Highway 79, just east of the bridge, about a quarter mile off the side of the road.
A group of searchers had found a patchwork quilt.
Blanket or comforter. Here, well, I took it out. I don't want to lose anything in it. And, interesting.
It appeared to be blood-stained. Near the quilt were a pair of men's cotton work gloves.
What's interesting, they were found with the blanket.
The gloves smelled of gasoline. The investigation changed as searchers realized they may now be looking for a body.
Tell us at the lab what kind of petroleum product.
Crime scene technicians joined the search. Later that afternoon, several miles from where the quilt was found, a woman's wallet was discovered.
Search people out your way.
We found some contents of a purse. Some of them we know belonged to June Atkins because her identification was in a wallet that was found. Found some other contents that appear to have come from a purse.
The search continued for several more hours. Then, more disturbing news.
Here, you take the camera.
A large amount of blood had been found in the grass. The area was photographed and the blood swabbed for analysis. They collected anything that may be of help, including blood-soaked grass. Underneath the grass, they found a woman's watch. Rick Stout believed the findings suggested something horrible had happened to June Atkins.
We have a car that was dumped in the woods. We have her personal belongings. We have a quilt that had blood on it, which there's got to be an explanation for that. And when we find personal belongings thrown out along the side of the road, she's not going to do that. You know, her driver's license, her wallet, and other personal items. That tells us that there is foul play involved.
Rick, you take.
There was blood, but no body. And investigators had questions.
All this.
At this point, they had no idea what happened to June Atkins.
We did not find any evidence as to where June might be or her body might be. We had some hopes of possibly finding June alive, but we did not.
Let's see, I think the first thing we'll do is look at...
Everything collected was sent to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab.
Okay.
Forensic serologist Patty Choate tested the items for blood.
I opened the quilt up, spread it out. It did have a very large blood stain on it. And so the first thing I did was a chemical color test to see if it was blood. And my chemical color test indicated that it was. So the next thing I wanted to do was to determine if it was human blood or not. Definitely blood. So I did testing on that and determined that it was indeed human blood. It's like dirt.
The work gloves were too dark to see any blood.
I do not see a thing. There it is. Look at that.
Using an alternate light source, Choate examined the gloves.
Not very big.
She discovered several small stains resembling blood, but they tested negative. The results were inconclusive. She then examined the sage grass.
From a different scene, they had brought in some grass that they had just pulled up. And so I looked at the grass and did indeed find blood on the grass. We'll get a picture of it anyway.
The blood on the items was compared with a sample of June Atkins' blood provided by her doctor. The blood matched.
Yeah, she must have been bleeding quite a bit to have this much blood.
Choti was asked by investigators if she could determine whether June was still alive.
The volume of blood that was on the quilt was a fair amount of blood, but I mean, it could have been from maybe a non-lethal injury. But the fact that there was 2 or 3 areas of grass that had blood on it, that was more indicative of someone who had bled out quite a bit. And that was fairly indicative that she could have been mortally wounded. Well,
June Atkins was dead.
Look what we've got. I mean,
Her killer was unknown.
I understand if we had a body, it'd be better. We've got the quilt, we've got the gloves.
And now, police needed to find out who killed her and why. Tennessee police continued to investigate June Atkins' brutal murder. Although no body was found, massive blood at the scene indicated she could not have survived.
Can you tell me if that's June's watch or not?
June's husband recognized his wife's watch.
Keep that up.
He had given it to her as a Christmas present.
Besides, I picked out Grandpa's present. You guys can just sit here. It's true.
Sheriff Hicks broke the news of June's murder to her husband and asked if he could think of anyone who wanted to harm her. June's husband recalled a note he found in June's car several weeks before she disappeared. It was in a man's handwriting asking her to meet him at the Dyers Creek boat ramp. That was all he knew. Deputies spoke with June's co-workers, hoping her friends could identify the mystery man. Sheriff David Hicks.
Friends of June told us that June had been seeing a man by the name of Kenneth Pipkin, and that they had been meeting at the Dyers Creek boat ramp.
Hicks tracked down Kenneth Pipkin at the logging site where he worked. He admitted he knew June. He was dating her husband's sister. And he denied ever meeting her at the Dyers Creek boat ramp. Sheriff Hicks was not convinced.
We needed to gather a lot more information before we talked to him again.
Police canvassed the neighborhood around the boat ramp. A clerk at a nearby convenience store knew June well. And she also knew Kenneth Pipkin. She didn't think highly of Pipkin. She described him as a womanizer, obsessed with his truck. So obsessed, he kept a patchwork quilt on the seat to keep it clean. One day, she recalled seeing Pipkin and June talking outside. She watched as June followed him out of the parking lot in the direction of the Dyers Creek boat ramp.
She comes in, gets gas.
The clerk told police Pipkin had come in looking for June on more than one occasion.
I thank you for your help.
Her story did not match Pipkin's.
We've just got 3 missing.
Police got a break. A fisherman called in with new information.
He said on the day she disappeared that he was at the Dyers Creek boat ramp. He saw a woman and a man in a pickup truck.
His description of the vehicles matched both Pipkin's and June's. Police brought Kenneth Pipkin in for questioning. They showed him pictures of the bloody quilt.
I remember having a blanket.
He admitted it was similar to one he used in his truck.
Okay.
But his had been stolen earlier that year.
You have your. Remember having quilts.
Pipkin swore he had nothing to do with June's disappearance.
You have your blanket with you in your truck.
He claimed he hadn't even seen her on the day she disappeared.
I've showed it.
Police knew Kenneth Pipkin was lying,
I just know I have.
but they needed more to prove he was a murderer. Now they needed to learn why. Police in Tennessee had a suspect in the murder of June Atkins. Large amounts of her blood were found in the nearby forest, but no body had been recovered.
I got pictures of it, but we probably need to spread it out when we get in better thing.
The suspect, Kenneth Pipkin, was seen with her shortly before her disappearance. A search warrant was issued for his truck and home. Crime techs processed the vehicle. They discovered tiny cloth fibers on the floor. They were collected and sent to the crime lab. Several pairs of cotton work gloves were found in the house. They were the same size and style as those found at the crime scene. The evidence was sent back to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Forensic specialist Russ Davis assisted on the case. He brushed the quilt found at the crime scene, collecting any loose fibers.
The issue became, can we connect the victim through this blanket to our suspect? And that's where the fiber evidence came from. Fiber is associative evidence. Fibers are the basic unit of all textiles. Clothing, carpeting, anything like that will shed the fibers, the very small portion which makes up the textile garment. And that's what can transfer.
Davis then checked for a match.
Those samples are then compared to the known samples from the vehicle in this case. Then they are looked at to determine if there in fact was fibers just like the ones found on the blanket found inside the vehicle.
Fibers from the bloody quilt matched the fibers collected from Pipkin's truck.
The report went out dealing with the serological evidence that this quilt had in fact been bled on by the victim. The following work on the fiber then said that this material in this swatch of the quilt, in fact, there were fibers like that found in the suspect's vehicle. That makes a link between suspect and victim through this quilt.
I think we have enough evidence to prove to a Stewart County jury that she's dead and Kenneth Pipkin killed.
You know, David,
The evidence was presented to District Attorney Dan Also Brooks.
We're gonna have a hard time proving that she's dead when we don't have a body. We just got one shot at this.
Also Brooks was apprehensive about taking Pipkin to trial.
The obvious challenge of the case was the lack of a body. Once we got to trial, with this issue of not having a body end up being reasonable doubt for the jury.
But police were determined to bring Pipkin to justice and ran through the evidence again.
We've got the quilt that has her blood on it. We know that was her blood on the quilt, her blood at the crime scene, and we can put the quilt in his truck.
We don't get two chances to try a murder case. He's found not guilty, that's it.
The DA was unconvinced he could get a conviction.
And we know that that quilt came.
A murder case is very difficult to make if it's totally circumstantial.
You know it's June Atkins.
You've got to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that there's been a homicide, and then prove beyond a reasonable doubt who committed the homicide.
She left that day. She had every intention.
Sheriff Hicks knew June's body was out there somewhere,
Somebody tried to hide.
and to him, the case was not
her
closed.
blood and her watch had been torn from her arm.
2 years later, on August 23, 1993, a fisherman made a gruesome discovery. The lower half of a female torso surfaced in the Tennessee River. Her family recognized the clothing, and they knew it was June. Kenneth Pipkin was arrested and charged with murder. Police believe that June threatened to expose their relationship. Pipkin killed her to ensure her silence. But with the help of forensic science, June's story was finally told.
For a small town murder, probably had as many expert witnesses as I've ever had in the case. I had a forensic pathologist that had done the autopsy. You had fiber experts, you had a blood expert from the TBI. It was a fascinating case to put together as a prosecutor.
Kenneth Pipkin was found guilty of second-degree murder. He is now serving a 20-year sentence. Some killers go to great lengths to keep their victims' whereabouts a mystery, leaving no bodies and only traces of the crime. There was a time when justice was scarce for these perpetrators. But today, forensic science arms law enforcement with the necessary weapons to convict, providing a witness where there is none.